Welcome to the Mindful Healers Podcast with
Dr. Jessie Mahoney
and Dr. Ni-Cheng Liang.
We are here to help you learn to pause and be present, awaken your breath, and harness the ripple effects of mindfulness for radiant health.
We get you. We know you. We are you.
We have both been successful on the surface, yet struggling underneath. We have both had cluttered brains, been overwhelmed, and exhausted.
We're healers who have found solutions and want to share them with you.
Join us here to discover a better way. Welcome to the Mindful Healers Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about setting intentions. A reminder that nothing shared in the Mindful Healers Podcast should be construed as medical advice. Our intention today is to discuss intentions and to talk about the difference between intentions and resolutions and goals, and to hopefully inspire you to set some intentions for the year ahead.
We hope that you'll discover what some of your intentions might be or might not be, and that you can actually give yourself permission to try some intentions on for size.
Takeaways from today's episode are that you can use mindfulness as a way to explore intentions, and that using mindfulness is a softer way to tap into what you really want in life. And most importantly, what you want to feel in life and how you want to experience life, knowing that that is actually what is in your control for the year ahead. And offer that for you and for this year, what might happen if you approach your New Year's as intentions rather than resolutions? So starting with this idea of what is an intention and why bother setting an intention. And I always like to go back to yoga as a way of setting an intention. And in yoga, setting an intention is choosing with purpose and focus what you want to pay attention to during your practice. And it's usually focused on the next hour. So it's a very short-term focus. And noticing for those of you who do yoga that when you do that, it feels amazing. And as we move through a class, we incorporate it into all the things that we do, and we let it sort of seep into the nooks and crannies. And that at the end of class, we also offer the opportunity to bring that intention with you out into the world. How would you like to manifest it and allow it to seep into the nooks and crannies of your life? And what I like about that approach to intentions is that there's a softness to it. It's not a resolve or a resolution. It's not something you can fail at. It's designed with practicing in mind. And so if you look a little bit at more traditional descriptions of intentions, they are a quality that you want to carry with you for the duration of either your practice or, as I would offer here, the year. And so what qualities would you like to show up with in your life? And perhaps that is a more useful way of approaching the year ahead rather than a resolution. And then the other thing, the word for intention in Sanskrit is something called sankalpa. And kalpa is vow, and the san is connection with your highest truth. And so it's a vow to connect with your highest truth, which is a little bit different than a resolution. Another way to think about it that feels really open and expansive to me is to set an intention, is to bring your awareness to a quality, once again, or a virtue that you want to cultivate more of in your life. So perhaps you want to invite more compassion or kindness or gratitude or grace or forgiveness or love into your life. Perhaps you want to be more present or mindful or become better at letting go. And notice how using words like that feels very different than my New Year's resolution is to lose 20 pounds or do X or do Y. It feels very different. So when I think about setting an intention in life, I think of it as how can you live with more alignment? or setting your GPS in a direction of where you want to head in your life. What do you want more of in your life or less of in your life, as you mentioned in the beginning? And then oftentimes people aren't really sure. They're not sure where they want to be at the end, but we're usually sure about how we want to feel in our life, more hopeful or more inspired or more light or more excited. And so to me, that is a really helpful and inspired way to think about it. The other thing about intentions is, and we mentioned before in our podcast about intentions versus goals, that setting an intention is not about the end product. It's not about the goal. It's not about what you're doing exactly next December. It's about who you become in the process. And so it's the process of choosing the intentions and exploring the intentions and living into the intentions over the course of the year, and who you become through that, the same way as who you become during a yoga class and what you're able to release and let go and experience. That's where the power is. And so as we delve into this episode and our two different sort of approaches to intentions, I want to offer that there's no right way to set an intention. I think we often want the recipe book. Give me the recipe for how to set an intention. There's no more effective way to set an intention. Setting intentions is a very personal process. So some people like to go on a solo trip and set their intentions. Some people like to do a meditation around their intentions. Some people like to go on a couples trip with a partner and set intentions for the year ahead. Some people do a vision board intention. I will share it a little bit, but I like to use words as a focus for intention. So we thought we would use this episode to share our approaches to intentions and how we approach them and why the way we do it works well for us, to perhaps open your mind to possibilities and inspire you to explore how intentions might serve you well as an approach to the year ahead. You want to go first?
Sure. So for me, it all kind of boils down to how I want to show up. And for me, it's showing up 100% authentically myself, first and foremost. And then noticing the attitudes or the feelings. So the visceral experience of what I would like to actually experience helps set the tone of the intention. And so for me, I think intention is more about tone, kind of like an overlay, casting an overlay of an aura or of an atmosphere. And for me, I think going into 2022, it's doing more of what I love doing and noticing the experience of actually doing that. I think also about the word intention in bringing me back to the days of my surgery rotation in medical school, where I learned about healing by primary versus secondary intention, reminding everyone that primary intention is when, after a surgical incision has been made, the edges of the wound are connected with a suture. And then healing by secondary intention is healing that occurs when the wound is left open to heal with granulation tissue, contractures, and epithelialization. And you know that I love analogies and I love metaphors. And at the risk of making this one a bit of a stretch, here we go anyway. This surgical concept of primary and secondary intentional healing can be an analogy for our life and how we set our intentions. So, primary intention, perhaps we can bring that about with a more forceful initiative, a more forceful closure, one that's helped and expedited, versus secondary intention, where wounds, which could represent our vulnerabilities, our old traumas, are given space to breathe, are open to air, and where natural stages occur for healing. And this might take a bit longer, but sometimes those wounds can heal a bit more deeply and fully. What about you, Jesse?
First of all, that's a beautiful reflection on the primary and secondary intentions. And I just want to remind our listeners that I gave a analogy to this exact thing in my story in episode 3, where I talked about the impact of intentions on my story. And so I'll leave the suspense to you to listen, and you can remind yourself of what I said there. A little bit different, but apparently we like metaphors. And I actually think that metaphors are a really lovely, mindful way to look at the world. The other thing I wanted to comment on was this idea of tone. And I had never thought about intentions as setting the tone, but I think it's literally the perfect way to think about it, because I often talk with my husband about the impact of tone. And so as someone who he's not as tapped into tone because of some of his neurodiversity issues. I'll leave it at that. So he doesn't necessarily understand the impact of tone. But for someone like me, tone is super important. And so oftentimes the tone of what you say and the impact of the tone is actually more powerful than the words that you say. And I think that that's the key reason why intentions are such a powerful practice. Setting an intention is powerful because you're setting the tone, and the tone is where the impact often is most felt on both yourself and the other person. So noticing that if you are someone that's sensitive to tone, and how our tone and how we show up in the world really impacts others. That actually reminds me of one other funny conversation that I have with my husband a lot. And I'm curious if any of our listeners have this issue, but my husband says to me a lot, what does it mean by showing up in the world? And so I think that's interesting, because I think it's something that comes up a lot in mindfulness and coaching, how you want to show up, and that other people may or may not know exactly what that means. And to me, how you show up is the tone. It's the tone that you set. It's the light that you shine. And it may be it's in part the actions and the words, but it's also the tone. And when we say, how do you want to show up? I think it's a tone thing. And so this word tone, I think we should have a conversation about tone another day, because I think there's so much really interesting there. So getting back to setting intentions, it is a favorite activity of mine every year. And I like to set intentions with words. And the reason that I like to set intentions with words is that words set the tone for your year ahead. And I know that oftentimes people talk about one word. I like to set intentions with multiple words, because for me, it's really what I like to call a 360 experience, and letting the things seep into the nooks and crannies. And if you just pick one word, it doesn't get at all the full spectrum aspects of your life. And many of you hear me talk about sort of full spectrum living and the idea of nourishing all the senses. And so realizing that we are complex humans, and that the words, if you just pick one word, it sort of ignores a lot of aspects of our humanity. So as much as I very much like to keep things simple and minimalistic, which would probably be choosing a single word, I think that choosing a single word does not get at the full spectrum living and humanity that I would like to experience within a year. And so my practice has been to choose 3 words as sort of my guiding setting intention words. And a newer practice has been to add a stretch word or an uncomfortable word, one that I really hesitant to bring in. And again, I tell people this all the time, there's no word police. Doesn't matter how many words you choose. It's really getting in touch with, for you, what do you want to experience more of and less of in the year ahead? What's the tone you want to set? How do you want to feel at the end of the year? Not so much what you want to accomplish or the achievements, but when you look back and you think about how you want to feel, it can be really helpful. And so I think that it's really guiding you to what you want to create or manifest, and how you want to respond to things, so that you're not reacting. Setting intention keeps you in that response and intentional mode rather than the reactive mode. And again, it's very experience driven, not outcome driven. So I've shared, I think, before in the podcast, my words for 2021. And I think it's helpful to sort of give the idea of my words there were abundance, love, and grounded were my guiding words. And my stretch word was proud. And as many of you know, in this episode podcast, we've been sharing the challenges with pride and showing up proud. And when I picked it, I wanted it to be a regular one of my guiding words. But when I sort of researched the word, there's a lot of edge to it about being not humble and showing off, and that it's not necessarily always seen as a good word. So I couldn't make it one of my actual words, and it had to be a growth word. And the other words, as I've shared in a couple of other podcasts, really help guide me during holidays, difficult situations. I want to show up grounded. I want to show up with love when I'm stuck. And the abundance was something I really was wanting to work on undoing that scarcity mindset and showing up from a place of wholeness and abundance and experiencing. It's not about money. It's about the abundance of life, noticing the abundance of love. And for me, it's a more powerful word than gratitude, an abundance in nature, an abundance of beauty, and also creating abundance and sharing abundance. So when I think about these things, you can really think about them in that sort of 360, all the or maybe 3D living. For some people, that word might resonate more. And that in thinking about how you pick a word, it can really be this powerful experience. So I'm at this moment still working on my words for 2022. But my edgy word I will share, because I think there's value in thinking about it, is trust. And for me, it's trusting myself and trusting others and trusting that the universe will unfold as it is and then it's meant to be, not in a radical acceptance way, but that it taps a little bit back into the groundedness. But that for me, it's really a beautiful way to up level, as I like to say. And I was actually challenged by my own coach with the idea. I've done some human design work, and I am a manifester. And the highest level for manifestors apparently is peace. And so she was like, well, why don't you pick peace instead? Because I was sharing with her my words. And I realized I'm not ready for peace yet. So I just want to show our humanity. And that, like, if you skip the rungs of the ladder, I have to work on trust first. And when I'm fully trusting, then that will be the next level. And I share that story a little bit vulnerable, but in many ways, I do show up with a lot more peace and calm. But that's next level for me. So that'll probably be 2023, although we'll see, because you get to start over again. So I thought I'd just share that one word, and the other words maybe we'll share over the course of the year in different episodes as to how they apply. I'll keep you all in suspense. So as I sort of end this reflection on that, I wanted to share some fun words that other people that I work with have come up with, because some of them really inspired me, and they might also be fun topics for future podcast episodes. And some of you may wish to choose them. I will share one of my words for the upcoming year is light. And many people heard me share that, my personal reasons for choosing it, and have also chosen the word light. Though I think for all of us, it means something different. And that's the other beautiful thing about this. Whatever you pick, it means it's unique to you. And so you want to take the time to explore it, all the ways in which it means to you, because that's really, again, it's the process. It's not the outcome, the process of choosing the words and defining it and taking the time to think about who you are. As you said, Ni-Chang, what's aligned for you and what's authentic. So some ideas that I came up that just really kind of opened my mind. Someone's word was less. So more versus less, but the power of less, or simple. Cherish is another really beautiful one that popped up. Explore, excitement, adventure. These are just some I'm inspired by. Spectacular, smart, evolve, sparkle. Energy is one. The energy one is really talking about, what drains energy, what creates energy, using your energy with intention. So there's so much fun in these words. And I think, they are just words, and yet they're a way to be mindful about your lived experience. And the last thing I wanted to share about the words, and again, words may or may not be your thing. Maybe you set up a mission statement, or maybe you do a meditation, or maybe you choose one word, or maybe a resolution is your intention. Everybody gets to do it differently. So being really thoughtful about who you are and what might serve you best. If you do choose words, I often get the question of, okay, well, I have my words, what do I do now? So practically you get to choose, but some people will have them as a screensaver on their computer, or use them, variations and mixed up, but make them complex based on my hard reset episode, but combinations of them as passwords with numbers and other meaningful things to you, or have a way that they pop up as reminders, or put them on beautiful cards that you look at, or put them on a bulletin board, or make a vision board. There's so many ways. You really just want them to pop up. When you've done the thought work to choose them, they actually become a part of you. So you don't really need to remember them. And what I do is use them. I'm in a sticky spot and I just ask the question, what would grounded do? What would love do? What would abundance do? What would proud do? And I figure out which is the right one and go with that. So that's the way that I like to do it. And the process of choosing them is actually pretty complex and fun, and this amazing growth experience. But hopefully this inspires you to at least think about it and explore it and see how it might work for you.
I'll share two of mine. Play, inspired by episode 52 with Dr. Brooke Buckley. And love. So love for others and also love for self. And then I haven't figured out the other two.
Any thoughts? I'm going to nudge you here just for fun into total vulnerability. What are you thinking about for your edgy word?
Shine.
Shine.
Yeah. Talking about our celebration episode and how uncomfortable it was for us to read the positive reviews. So working more on unapologetically shining.
I'm going to give you a tiny bit of coaching here because I am called to do so. I want you to consider sparkle, an up level of shine.
I saw that.
But also because I know you as a human, and you actually, I'm taken back to the Brave Enough conference, and you love sparkly things. And when you do sparkle, it just it to me is like you at your highest level. Not that we can't show up sparkling all the time, but that what if you showed up with some sparkle? And boy, would it be fun to record podcasts with you sparkling anyway. So I have a little selfish interest, but play with it. And maybe your sparkle, maybe just like trust for me, trust comes before peace, shine comes before sparkle.
Yes, perhaps shine comes before sparkle. And also shine and sparkle evoke ways that I can actually show up in the way that I dress, because many of you in healthcare know that over the last 2 years, many of us have been in scrubs. So not too many opportunities to shine and sparkle when we're in predetermined outfits. So I think inviting, even if I am mostly in scrubs at work, inviting a little bit more shine and sparkle into the way that I dress could even be a manifestation of those intentions.
Well, and one more piece to sort of share about the way to explore it. So the word I mentioned is light. And for me, your words, not love, but play, pops right into light, because light is being more playful. And sparkle can also go right into light. Because as you said those, I was like, ooh, I want some more of that too, right? But then you can, and that's just a small piece of it. So it's not my primary attention. And that's why I like to think of intentions as just where you're going to direct your attention. So fun with words and fun with intentions, and setting intentions is in and of itself, the exploration of it, a powerful tool. And the process of doing it and living into it is much more powerful than the goal or the outcome itself. So as we end, let's get back into our reflection questions, our gift to send you some useful practices.
So what are your thoughts about setting intentions instead of resolutions for this year?
What are your intentions for the year ahead? Any words that you would like to embody?
With your intentions in mind, how can you act upon them?
And as we end today, we hope you will set an intention to, number one, stay on for the mindful moment after the singing bowl. Number two, consider joining us for the Mindful Healers Retreat in the summer of 2022. Our intention for the retreat is to offer you opportunities to awaken your senses, rejuvenate mind, body, and spirit, experience calm and ease, and connect with others in the beautiful outdoors. There's a link to sign up to be notified when registration opens in the show notes. You can also set an intention for better health and more peace and relaxation by joining me for yoga on the weekends. And that link is also available in the show notes. You can also start living your life with more mindful intention by reaching out about coaching. And you can set an intention to develop a more mindful life and learning mindfulness practices by connecting with Ni Chang at Awaken Breath. And the link to find out more about that is also in the show notes.
Thanks so much for listening. If you feel called to do so, we would love it if you left us a review and some stars. And as always, if safe to do so, please stay on after the sound of the singing bowl for our mindful moment offering.
As always, if you want to declutter your mind, be more present, and start truly living your one wild and precious life, come find us at the mindfulhealerspodcast.com.
Work with one of us.
Work with both of us.
Start or uplevel your mindfulness practice.
Discover how mindful coaching can change your life.
Or even better, do both as part of our Mindful Healers programs and retreats. You can find links to find out more about our programs and join our communities at themindfulhealerspodcast.com.
Reach out and get started on your journey to a life better lived today.
The content of this podcast is not meant to be medical or life advice. If you choose to participate in our mindful moments, please do so safely.
Welcome to today's mindful moment, a moment to connect with your intentions, your dreams, and your desires. We'll begin by finding a comfortable seat, if it's safe for you to do so. If you're standing, notice the soles of your feet upon the floor gently. In either position, connecting to the stability and strength and energy of the earth below. If it's safe for you to do so, close your eyes. If that's not comfortable, a light loose gaze a few feet in front of you. With intention, notice your sit bones upon the earth if you're seated. Tilt the pelvic bowl forward, regardless of your position, and stack your spine one atop the other, all the way through the neck. Reach the crown of the head towards the sky. Take in a deep inhale. And then exhale, drop your shoulders. Notice with the drop all that you let go. Take in another deep inhale of possibility. And exhale the judgments and limitations. I invite you to bring a hand to heart, kindness. The other hand atop. Connect with your heart space underneath. Connect with your true intentions. What might they be? Are the ones that you thought about the ones you thought you should have? Or are they truly your intentions? Take in another deep, nourishing, cleansing inhale. And an exhale, letting things go. Pausing here to think about intentions as opposed to dreams. We often plan for our intentions, where we want to be a year from now. But how do those intentions align with your dreams? What if you were less of a planner and more of a dreamer? What if your intentions were about bringing in more of your dreams into your life? Not necessarily the huge pie in the sky dreams, but more of the things that bring you joy and lightness and laughter. What if your intentions were more about living? How do you want to live this year? How do you want to feel this year? What do you want more of this year? What do you want less of? What would you like to keep the same or continue? Press the heel of the hand into the heart space, release a little bit of oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, allowing all the feelings that you have, the deepest desires and dreams, let them bubble up for a moment without judgment. Take in a deep, nourishing, cleansing inhale into that pocket behind the heart where the judgment might be beginning to erupt. And exhale, letting the judgment, limitations, why nothing is possible go. And pause. Send yourself some kindness and compassion. Humans dream, humans have desires, and humans have wants. What are yours? And now, with intention, let's marry the dreams with our intentions. How can you bring a bit more of your dreams into your intentions for the year ahead? Perhaps if they're dreams or desires, things you want more of, they may be easier to head towards. Not necessarily getting there all at once, but just a direction, a focus of attention and intention for the year ahead. Bring your hands to heart center. Press the thumbs into the sternum for stability, connection, intention. Notice your palms connected and finger pads touch, and take in another deep, intentional inhale and an intentional exhale. Breathing in the possibility of dreams as part of your intentions. And exhaling the why it's not possible, can't happen. And taking a moment here to allow yourself the space to dream, to allow those dreams, and to think, how can you shift towards those little by little by little by little? Taking another deep, cleansing, nourishing inhale. And an exhale, letting things go. Notice how you feel. As we end this mindful moment, tuck those dreams into the pocket behind your heart, not as something you haven't yet accomplished or should have or out of alignment with, but just as something to keep in your mind's eye. And a moment to think about what small things can you include in your intentions, or what feelings or ways of moving through the world, how you want to show up, could help you get a little bit closer to those dreams. Take in a long, deep inhale and an exhale, letting things go. Slowly lower your hands and open your eyes. Let the light in. Enjoy the openness and perhaps curiosity. I invite you to take a few moments and write down your dreams and how perhaps your intentions can help you get a little bit closer to some of those dreams and desires and the life that you would like to be living more of. Have a beautiful week.